everyone. Welcome back to 30 Taught Me. Welcome to our second episode. Today I'm going to be having a Skype conversation with my friend Lindsay Morris of the blog Whispers of Encouragement. Lindsay and I went to a Christian college together and we've remained friends since. And so just stay tuned and hear what she and I discuss regarding boundaries in relationships and cross-sex friendships. So let's welcome Lindsay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Kelly. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I think throughout your 20s, you really need to have both emotional and physical boundaries. And I have definitely not been the poster child for that. I've learned a lot over the last 10 years. And I'm happy to say I'm now happily married for almost 4 years. But I really started out my 20s with awesome boundaries. I was very close to God in college and just was like, okay, I'm focused on college. Then when I got out, I was focused on being a missionary for 6 months. But then when I moved back to the States, I just felt so ready in my heart for a husband. I was like, God, I'm so prayed up. I'm just ready for whoever you're going to bring into my life as a 23-year-old. And the truth was, my future husband wasn't ready. Really, I wasn't ready, even though I thought I was ready. But I kind of let my guard down because in my mind, I thought, I'm ready. Whoever the next guy is that asks me out is going to be the one. It's time. And I just kind of fell into a cycle of dating whoever would be interested in me and definitely let people into my heart that maybe didn't deserve that place, and just let my guard down emotionally. Another area, like I mentioned, is physically, that we need to keep our guard up. I think when people, especially if you're in your mid to later 20s and you aren't married, you really start thinking like, okay, when is my time going to come? And the truth is, we do have a drive to be intimate with someone else, and it's hard to keep that harnessed. And I always remembered something that my youth pastor, actually our youth pastor, me and my husband knew each other from our youth group, something he said back in the day. He brought people up on stage and he had a Coke bottle. And he had like 4 people drink out of the same Coke bottle. So, of course, the first person was like so happy. They got this refreshing drink of Coke. The next person was like, oh, okay, I'm drinking after this guy. That's kind of weird. And then finally, the last person, all they had left was like this much Coke. And the rest of it, we all know, was backwash. So the whole analogy was, you don't want to leave just backwash for whoever you marry. You want them to get the very best of you. And that really stuck with me throughout my 20s, and I definitely made mistakes physically. We all know there are gray areas as far as that goes, and we know what to not do. The ultimate, okay, do not have sex. That's pretty easy to say, but as far as the things in between, I think we just really need to pray and have a line that's drawn that we're not going to cross no matter what.
Like you're saying, the line is so gray, and the Bible doesn't just come out and say, thou shalt not XYZ, like it's not like that. But then I just came to a point and I was like, is what I'm doing at the end of the day, is this honoring God? Can I say that as a single, what I'm doing with this particular individual, do I feel like I'm honoring God? And if I didn't feel like I was honoring God, then I was like, we're not going to do that, or, I can't do that, because I just know for myself, I didn't feel like I was honoring God. And that's what I had to use as my own standard. And I think everybody is different. Everybody has a different, I guess, tipping point or whatever of what they can and can't do. And that's something, I think mostly as you begin to mature and know yourself and know your body and know your needs, like you know what you can and cannot do, or or what's going to tip you over. So it just,
Right.
When you're having those boundaries, I think that it does take some kind of maturity and confidence in yourself to know, like, you don't have to be like everybody else or what you think other couples are doing, or what like what you see on TV or anything like that. You just have to have like a firm foundation kind of in yourself.
Yeah, do what's right for you. And you're right. I mean, the media and other people are constantly telling us what is right for someone in your 20s to do with someone in the opposite sex. So you really have to, it's got to be between you and God. And, I have friends who have not kissed anyone until the day they got married. And to me, I'm just like, hey, I salute you. I cannot say that about myself. I don't know that would even have been right for me. But to each his own. You just have to know in your heart what God wants for you. And obviously, if you're dating someone, communicate that to that person.
When you're writing, there was a line that you had about like the M&Ms, about that, about the pieces of like your heart is like pieces of M&Ms, and like eventually you'll have to, like, eventually the things that you have done before you'll have to deal with, and so then, but I was wondering at the same time, I don't know, I know for myself that I kissed dating goodbye. Like, I agreed with it when I was in high school, and then once I became in college and out of college, and I was like, I don't agree with this particular doctrine or, I don't know, teaching. So I guess when I read it, it struck a chord with me in two ways. That, like, I thought it was a really good point, that I think the things that you have done in the past will ultimately come up. But I was wondering if you had thought at all about I Kiss Dating Goodbye at all when you were thinking about that.
Yeah. I think most of us who grew up in the church probably read that book and subscribed to that belief at one point or another. And there were times in my life, like I mentioned earlier, during college, I did not date at all for like 4 or 5 years. It was so freeing. I was so focused during that season. And that was exactly how it was supposed to be for that season of my life. But then, yeah, as I got to be like 23 to, mid 20s, I did date and I made mistakes in those relationships. But I am glad that I'm glad that I dated, because I think it did prepare me for my relationship with my husband. In some ways, it showed me what I did not need to have in my life. I saw weaknesses in other people, or just the way that my personality mixed with theirs, and realized, okay, that person is not the one for me. So kind of like seeing that when my husband came along, and seeing how well our personalities mesh, and how he was everything that I asked God for and more, was like even greater confirmation, because I had seen what I wasn't supposed to have. So I have mixed feelings. I have friends that have never dated before, and then they meet their husband and it's perfect. So I think that, again, that's just something between you and God that you need to ask, God, am I meant to date, or am I meant to just, bam, meet my husband and that's it? So, yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in to 30 Taught Me for this particular episode. We'll see you next week, where we continue the same conversation, and we're going to be delving into cross-sex friendships and answering the question if men and women can really be friends. Thanks again, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.